This is the Under the Ring Report, a weekly pro wrestling podcast. Now, here are the masters of armchair booking, John the Flesh Wound and Cousin Tom.
Welcome, wrestling fans. We're back with another edition of the Under the Ring Report. Tom, how you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. How are you doing?
I'm not too bad. Kind of cruising my way down the road to WrestleMania. But considering it's been just over a year since we lost the man who was credited for introducing high flying to the WWE, thought maybe it'd be appropriate to go back to an interview that I conducted back in 2000 with Jimmy Superfly Snuka. So I know there was a lot of controversy and things going on, and we can't play the interview without talking about that also. So your thoughts on Jimmy Snuka, the man compared to the wrestler?
Well, the wrestler as a child was my absolute favorite. And he can be attributed to a lot of the spankings I got as a child from jumping off the furniture onto my sister. Several.
Yep.
Let's say numerous times it happened. Now, the man himself, I know, was, as he got older, I don't know all the details. I know there was the murder investigation, and then they had the whole trial. You know, I prefer to remember the wrestler. However, you know, there's a lot of other guys that have a dark past.
Yep.
You know, Scott Hall, for one, you know, he's got the whole nightclub incident where a guy was killed.
Yep.
You know, and there's others that are not coming to mind right now, but I prefer to remember the memory of the guy that, you know, jumped off the cage in Madison Square Gardens.
Well, and that, yeah. And the thing I look at too is, you know what? He wasn't convicted. We don't know what happened in 1983. Right. There's not a whole lot of people that do know, and those people that do are now gone. It's not putting lightly what he may or may not have done, but I'm with you. The wrestler, very interesting, and it was very nice to talk to him, and he talked about how he got started in professional wrestling, and this was right after he did that show and showed up on Nitro and wrestled Jeff Jarrett and did the dive from the cage. So we talked a little bit about that too. So let's jump into an interview conducted back in 2000 with the late, great Jimmy Superfly Snuka.
It's a privilege to have with me one of the true legends of professional wrestling, Jimmy the Superfly Snuka. Welcome to the Under the Ring Report.
Thank you very much, brother. It's a pleasure.
Thank you very much for being with us. How are you doing?
I'm doing really good, bro.
Great. You
know, really good.
You are one of the greatest wrestlers out there. I mean, I've got so many memories of watching some of your matches out there. It's just good to hear from you. And the first thing I want to know, though, is how you got started in the business.
Well, brother, I started off in Honolulu, Hawaii. I used to be a bodybuilder, you know. Mm-hmm. And I was training until I won the Mr. Hawaiian Islands in 1970. And then right from there, I met all the wrestlers that used to come into the place and got involved with them and started training, and that's how I got involved in it.
Okay. And what year around did you make your way to the World Wrestling Federation?
I think it was maybe around 83, somewhere around there.
1983. I'll tell you, that's kind of a memorable year, too. I think that's when one of your most famous matches occurred with Don Morocco in a cage match.
Oh, God, yes. Oh, yes, brother. That's one of the highlights of my whole career.
You want to tell people a little bit about that? I mean, just unreal.
Well, you know, it's, you know, you just have that, you know, feeling that, you know, you just have something that you got to do, you know? Mm-hmm. And it's an exciting thing, like you have two animals inside this cage and, you know, go about what you got to do. And, brother, it was such a thrill for me and Don. It was like I'll highlight the peak that we wanted, you know? And just took advantage of that cage, brother, and I was on, you know, national-wide TV, and I just thought I'd just go up there and just take a nice dive off the top of that cage, brother.
What went through your mind when you went off the top? I mean, that had to be, what, 15, 17 feet up in the air?
Actually, it was like about 25 feet.
Was it?
Brother. Yeah.
Oh, my.
Yeah. It was it's a feeling that I don't think I could ever feel like that again. You know? It's just one time, and especially was my first time in the Gardens, and you know, the Big Apple, brother. That's where it's all about.
That's true.
And that was my highlight, and that was my whole dream about this.
And after that match, I mean, you just became an instant superstar of the World Wrestling Federation.
Thank you, brother. I try,
Oh, definitely. I mean, you are the original phenom. And how was it wrestling in the WWF during the big 80s? Because wrestling was booming.
Yeah.
You had cartoons. You were on national TV. It was just unreal.
It was great, brother. I mean, I really enjoyed my whole career when I was up here,
Uh-huh.
I mean, I loved it so much that, it was a great thing because you can go to one territory to the next,
Yeah.
And nowadays it's kind of hard for these kids because they don't have these territories anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a great opportunity for me and to learning, going around in different territories and learning from different guys. And by the time I hit the big time, brother, I was ready for it,
Mm-hmm.
And like I'm saying, like these kids nowadays, they don't have that opportunity, to move around and go wrestle everywhere. Now they're trying to open up their own independent shows.
Yeah. Yeah, also, I mean, you've had some great feuds over the years. I think one that comes to mind was with Rowdy Piper.
Oh, yes.
and all I have to do is say the word coconut.
Yeah, brother, that's one of them.
Uh-huh. Yeah, talk a little bit about some of your great feuds you had.
Rowdy was he was a character on his own,
Uh-huh.
And it was perfect for me, to wrestle with that guy because he's two animals that's trying to solve this problem that's been going on,
Uh-huh.
And especially when he hit me over the head with that coconut, and that really did it, I mean, like he was just teasing me, I'm a monkey, he calls me from the jungles, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how the view hole started, but it really worked out well, John,
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed it and had a wonderful time while I was doing it, and especially to the fans out there, I love them so much that, I just love to get into that ring and just put on a show for them, brother. You know what I mean?
Oh, definitely.
And that's the whole part of my, my dream and my feeling deep down in my soul, and I love them, brother. My whole dream is just for the people, because I love them, brother. I love you people, So when I go out there, I just kick it in maybe a little bit more extra, Instead of fifth gear, I put it into sixth gear, But I really enjoyed it, John. It was it's a lovely feeling, and I still enjoy it.
Yeah.
And I'm still wrestling around the country. I'm mostly independent.
That's true.
I do a lot of raising funds, and the feeling is still there, brother. It hasn't gone yet.
Well, I mean, you are the guy that originated this whole high-flying acrobats of professional wrestling.
Well, thank you, brother. It was fun.
Yeah, how do you feel about that? When people look back and go, you're the man that started all this.
Brother, I love it because... I'm like an idol to these people, you know what I mean? And I enjoy that, and the more I see things like that, it makes me feel good because at least I made something for the wrestling career,
Yeah. And back in 1986, the World Wrestling Federation inducted you into their Hall of Fame.
Right.
A very elite group. I mean, that had to be a very special moment for you.
Yes, it was, John. It was a tremendous feeling, and it was an honor, to know that I was inducted into the Hall of Fame. And, knowing that, things like that don't normally happen to anybody.
No.
And I was so glad and happy and blessed by the Lord that I could have that time to be there for that and for the fans and everybody in the world,
Yeah. Now, looking back, I mean, who are some of the great wrestlers out there you've wrestled with or had a chance just to either team up with or wrestle? What'd you say?
Let me see. When I was back in the Carolinas there, I teamed up with Paul Orndorff.
Mm-hmm.
And also Cripple Ray Stevens, bless his heart.
Yep.
And
now we've got the big WrestleMania pay-per-view coming up this weekend.
Right.
And you've competed in numerous WrestleManias. You were there at the very first one.
Right.
And just kind of tell the fans out there the atmosphere, how it was to participate in that, and just, your feelings.
Brother, when that first happened, the WrestleMania first came out, it's such an excitement, such a good feeling knowing that you're going to be involved in it.
Mm-hmm.
And, like I said again, being at the Madison Square Garden, that's a highlight in itself.
Definitely.
And, I was really looking forward to that. I was training hard and really looking forward to this WrestleMania, and it was quite a great feeling for me to be involved in it, and I love it, and knowing that the fans are all out there and want to have a good time and enjoy themselves, and that's what it's all about, brother, you know.
Definitely. Now, you know, as you're speaking of the fans, I mean, I think I recall, as a lot of fans do, probably like 3 months or so ago, you appeared on WCW Nitro.
Yes, sir, I did, John.
The fan reaction was incredible. I mean, that had to make you feel great to see.
Yes, brother, it brought me back. You know what I mean?
And I will talk as a true fan. I had goosebumps when you walked out there. I mean, that was just a thrill.
Thank you, John.
You're one of my all-time favorites.
I hear that, brother. That's what I mean. You know, without them, man. Like I said, it's such a peak in itself, and that feeling that comes along with it. You know, walking out there, brother, and looked at those fans again, and never walked into a big arena in a long time, John. And then to be on nationwide TV again, and then to top it over, that I got to climb up to this mountain one more time. And I just had to, you know, do it one more time for this generation. You know?
Yeah.
Because who knows? You never know, man.
That's true.
But if you want to know if I still want to do one more cage match somewhere, yes, I do.
Do you?
Yes, you bet, brother.
I was going to say, I mean...
Superfly will always fly, my friend, for the fans, you know?
Oh, yes.
You bet.
Now, you know, you've sat there, and I know you've probably watched a lot of the product that's going out on TV right now.
Right.
You want to compare that to when, during the 80s, when wrestling was at its height, to now when it's at its height?
Right, John. You know, in them days was different, but now, today... My goodness, they're making like, you know, twice as that what we used to.
Yeah.
Or maybe 10 times more. You know, which is great, and I love it, and I wish I could be involved in it again. Brother, yes, I do. You know, I would have loved to be in like back there and enjoying all what's going on today, you know. But other than that, yeah, brother, they're making some good money, man.
But, I mean, you know, the more emphasis now is on interviews and storylines, you know, and... Back then, it was wrestling. I mean, if you knew how to wrestle, you were going to be a star.
Right.
And, you know, now it seems that they can just pull anybody off the street, give them a gimmick, and they can be a star, and they don't have to be a good wrestler.
Exactly.
And, I mean, do you think that's hurting wrestling, though, in the long run?
I don't think so, brother. I don't think so, because, you know, it's a wrestling entertainment, you know?
Yeah.
And that's today. In my days, that was different. But nowadays, everything is... all entertainment anyway.
Yeah, that's true. It is entertainment.
You know what I mean? And they're the hottest thing there is.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, you probably see that too, even on the independents. I mean...
Yes, I do, brother.
It's
and
booming,
it helps
isn't
us,
it? Yeah.
It helps us in independent everywhere, which is very good. And I think it's great, brother.
Well, I mean,
I really got nothing against it or anything, but I love it, man.
Oh, I bet.
I love it because I'm part of it, you know?
Now, if we look back, I mean, what would you say are probably some of your greatest moments of all that you can think of during your career? That you look back and go, wow, I really did that.
Yeah, that was the highlight with the cage match, bro. That was it, man.
That was it?
That was it, brother.
I also remember you spent some time right when Extreme Championship Wrestling got started.
Yes, I did.
You were their first TV champion, correct?
Right.
Yeah. How was your time there, just being in a federation as it was getting started?
It's great, brother, because like you're starting all over again, you know, like the old days, you know?
Yeah.
And it was good for me because at the meantime, and at the same time, I'm trying to develop this company and stuff, and it was good, and I love to do stuff like that, you know?
Yeah.
You know, started off, and now that it's doing real good and everything, and I'm proud of that.
Okay. Now it seems like it's just booming left and right all over the place. Now, were they quite as extreme as they were, or as they are now? I mean, or were they just trying to be a regular wrestling federation then?
I guess they're trying to be regular in both, you know? Yeah.
Now, before we let you go, just want to give you a chance here to talk to the fans and, you know, who have followed you throughout your whole career and maybe miss seeing the Superfly out there. Just let them know what's going on, or just a couple words out there for them.
Beautiful. Yeah, I just want to tell all these wonderful people here in TV land, you know, and on radio, wherever you are. Just want you to let you know to keep faith and health and believing the Lord that you take care of yourself halfway. I'm sure the rest will be okay. Just want to let you people know that I really appreciate you and love you so much, and thank you for all the wonderful times that I've been out there with you, and hopefully that I can all get to meet you wonderful people again.
All right, Jimmy, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us.
John, thank you very very much, and I appreciate it.
That was our interview from late 2000 of the great Superfly, Jimmy Snuka, an all-time great Hall of Famer in WWE, one of my all-time favorites as a child. And remember to check us out next week for our podcast, the Under the Ring Report. And we look forward to commenting and interacting with you guys on Twitter and on Instagram and other social media platforms.
This is Harley Race, and if you want to hear about wrestling and what's happening today, listen to Under the Ring.
Follow the Under the Ring Report on Twitter at UTRR Podcast. You can subscribe to the Under the Ring Report on iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher, or visit undertheringreport.com. Thanks for listening to the Under the Ring Report.